We are live. This is the income stream with Pat Flynn after show Afterglow with yours truly, April 2.0. And with me tonight is my confidant, co-host, and the voice of net friending, Roy Montero. Hi, Roy. You're on mute.
Hi, April. So tonight we have, so this is our first week. We're ending our first week. We started on Monday. Today is Saturday. And every day this week we have had a guest or a co-host or someone else with us. And so we got right into it with them. And that was fabulous. That was fantastic. I just enjoyed every second of it. So Pat has been going live every day. Today is his 33rd day. He goes live even on the weekends. Now, who does that? Well, the only person I know is Pat Flynn. I know a lot of other people, A-listers, influencers, are going live on a daily basis or a often enough basis to keep their tribe engaged and to help them with positivity, keep their mind off of the pandemic that we're in right now with the coronavirus and all of that. So Pat just finished up today, Saturday, this morning. He starts at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, and for him, he's on the West Coast. He's in California. He's in San Diego. He starts his show at 8 o'clock, and it's helped him these last 33 days. And you can hear what he has to say, and I want to touch on that because something that I learned from John Maxwell is momentum. Big Mo. You need to keep the momentum going because great things happen with momentum. So with that in mind, let me just, April, opening remarks because you did something this morning. You've been working from home for the last 3 weeks, and that's different. You've been on your JOB, your corporate position for the last 25 years. You just got your 25-year plaque and recognition and all of that. 25 years with the same company, and you've gone through, I think, two corporate transitions, buyouts, whatever that was. Mergers, what have you. So why don't you share a little bit about that, what your experience has been for the last 3 weeks at home as opposed to the office, and the fact that your needle on your car, the gas tank hasn't moved. We went out grocery shopping earlier today. You were saying at this rate, I'm going to still be in the same tank of gas for the next month. And then you did something for the second time with the super chat on YouTube. So can you give us your experience on that? Because a lot of people don't even know what that is, and a lot of people aren't on YouTube the way that Pat Flynn is using it, because I know a lot of people are more so on Facebook, but doing video on Facebook the way that Pat Flynn does it on YouTube, for me, is much more, I'll just say blank for right now, and we can go over it a little later. So you want to share with everyone, including Pat, what it is that, you felt so far, because you started off basically by saying that Pat's morning show, his live streams every day, has uplifted you. That was the word you used.
Yeah, so this morning, just to kick this conversation off, this was the pre-show. So every morning there's in our Slack group called the Quarantine. I should put that up on here as a hashtag, the Quarantine. It is a channel on, oops, I guess you can't see it because I have an overlay. So let me hide that real quick. Unhide that. I don't even know how to get that off now. It's like stuck. Uh-oh, that's not good. It's stuck. Can you unstuck it? There you go. So there's none of my anything is working right now back here. I don't know why. So
just refresh. I'll keep it going until you get back. So we have this really cool uh, third-party application, third-party app for going live on YouTube or Facebook, LinkedIn, Periscope, Twitch, and eventually when the API opens up on IG, Instagram, I'm sure we're going to go there amongst other places if you know the code. But by default, Gage and Dan are fearless co-founders of the StreamYard app. And it's not an app traditionally because it's browser-based, which means whether you're on iOS and or Android, or your YouTube, or your computer, there's nothing to download. You just click a link, and there you are. You're hosting, you're guesting, and anything and everything in between. So I just wanted to share that, and we have these really cool overlays that we can put up here. So this is April and Mari, and this is what it will look like if you had 6 seats. And we have the before and after picture here for April. This is April on the left, April 1.0. 4 years ago when she started live streaming, she showed up small because she thought she was small. She's looking at herself in the video rather than looking at the screen like on the right. The lighting was dark, everything else. And so she's sitting at the exact same place in her living room in front of her computer. And I just love this picture from April 1.0 to April 2.0, and it all happened within 42 days. It was just her and I building a friendship, showing up each and every day for each other, learning from each other, getting to know each other, befriending each other. And that's, the way that the net friending movement has grown. So more about that later. But right now, April wanted to share something with you. You have the floor, girl.
So let me start with what Roy was actually asking me to start with before. I have been at my corporate job for the same company for 25 plus years. September will be the start of my 26th year. And I am fortunate enough right now during this global pandemic, 2 words put together that we won't soon not hear. It seems like this is going to be an ongoing thing for at least the next little while, and it may even have a resurgence sometime towards the end of the summer. So
yeah, and it's already been a month since we've kind of been quarantined by our government, and a lot of other governments and countries around the world have done likewise because people were starting to get infected and then die, and then they just wanted to stop the spread globally. So for our future selves and for people listening in the future, it is April 18th, 2020.
Yes, indeed. And I think Sweden is the only country that has not ordered a mandatory closing of essential business. So there's that. So I've been fortunate enough to be able to, although my company is open, it's considered essential business because it's healthcare related. They have followed the guidelines that the government has set forth to allow us to work from home. So I've been able to do that since literally 1 month ago yesterday. I started working from home on March 17th for my future self. And so when I'm at home, I can have Pat Flynn and his morning show at 11 a.m. Eastern playing in the background where I can switch back and forth to it as I'm working and see what's going on in the chat. And today was day number 33. And he did say this morning, he said, this is like day 33-ish. So while he posted that it was day 33, I'm thinking that maybe he had gone live before he started making this an official show. I think he just had a thought. I think he had a thought to go live to start doing this, but it wasn't an official show yet. So he's probably been doing this a little bit longer, maybe 36 days, where the jury's out on that. I guess we have to go fact check that by looking at his YouTube channel. But so when this got started, and before I realized and Roy realized that this was a thing, somewhere at the beginning of all of this, somebody named E or Earn had taken it upon himself to, yes, he's also known as Rap and Combat on YouTube. So Roy just highlighted that in the chat. He took it upon himself to corral the people who were enjoying this daily Q&A from Pat, and he created a Slack channel called the Quarren Team hashtag. And so there's, just so you know, there's 61 people now in that Slack channel group. And every morning, E posts in the Slack channel the link to Pat's Q&A about, I don't know, anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour before the show starts. And everybody's already, like, we know that Pat does this every day because he's consistent. So we go over there and kind of have our own pre-show every morning for, usually people start showing up an hour before. Maybe there's like 3 or 4 people who are just waiting and saying hello. And then 30 minutes, T-minus 30 minutes, people really start coming in and the chat really takes off. And Pat, I think, even mentioned it here right at the very beginning when he started his show this morning, that he actually does sign in. And I guess while he's prepping for his Q&A, he's just watching the comments go by. And I think that really, if I were to guess, warms his heart. And Roy, even though it's really hard to see on screen share, you can see Roy highlighting the comments. I wrote, "Good morning from Knoxville, Pat," with a heart. And that's what people do. We say hello to each other. And this morning, before the show got started,
keep that bookmark. Let me chime in here really quick. And I don't know of anybody else doing this, but that doesn't mean I know everybody on the planet and what they're doing. It's just not in my sphere, in my world, in my environment, in my culture. And I follow a lot of people. I follow about 300 people on email, and somewhere probably around a little less than 100 people on social media, because I can handle email a lot better. Every one of my emails comes in and it flashes on the screen. And if it's a person and or topic that is in alignment with me for that day and what I'm doing, I'll click through and I'll bookmark it and I'll go back to it, or I'll do everything I need to right then and there by documenting it, streamabling it, because a lot of the people I follow, they post videos. A lot of it is from YouTube. And I don't like reading. I don't like that. That's not my best style. So I like video, I like audio, I like listening to people, the tone of their voices, and so on and so forth. So what Pat has been doing here, because this here, Pat can't think of everything by himself. He's using his own brain. None of us are as smart as all of us. So in the interim of the last 33 days, people have made suggestions to Pat about things. And so Mary, I don't know her last name because Pat says Mary a lot without her last name, was the one who gave him the insight to create the waiting room, as it is known affectionately amongst Team Flynn, which April is talking about. So some people start getting here as early as an hour before and just wanting to be social rather than doing social media. They just want to be social. They just want to befriend people, show up friendly for people. And day by day, it gets more and more traction, so to speak. More and more people show up as more and more people get to know about it. And that coincides with what I'm doing with April, our net friending movement, not networking, but net friending. Net friending is the softer side of networking. Business ship second, friendship first. And so basically, April and I are always looking for people who want to go the distance and befriend each other. And at the deepest possible level, Shasta Nelson is all about friendship, and she coined the word friendtimacy. That's friendship, intimacy. Love it. So Pat has been doing this, like I said, for 33 days straight now, and documenting it. And he's got an opening theme. He's got like a branded channel. It's just so simple, so easy. And as April mentioned, Earn is doing a Slack group, and we're growing in numbers. What did you say it was? Like 60, 70 people now, and
61.
61 to be exact. And so probably if we check back in a month or two, it'll be like 200, 300 people, if not more. And what we are doing, what April and I are doing, in association with Pat, in conjunction with Pat, is a after show, Afterglow, as we call it. So that's exactly what we're doing here. We're going over the day that Pat did for an hour, hour and a half. Sometimes it goes an hour and a half in the morning on weekends. Today he went an hour and 16 minutes on a Saturday. And last week I think he went an hour and a half both Saturday and Sunday, and he does it every day. So this is very Pat Flynn-esque. He's a very giving person. I've been following him for the better part of the last 12 years when he first started online, when he first got going, because, yeah, he crossed my path through other people, and that reminds me and triggers me of the Desmond Tutu quote, April, the one-liner that we love so much. And can you unpack that a little bit? Because I think that's what's happening in the mornings and now hopefully in the after show, but definitely during the show when people are connecting with Pat as well as with each other.
Yes. It's become a thing. And her name is Mary Fan, I believe, Phan, which is interesting that you know that, and I don't know that she's the one who suggested opening up the room every day. I don't know where you heard that. Do you recall? Did he say that today?
I haven't listened to today's show yet, so I don't know. But he said it on at least 3 or 4 occasions that I've heard over the
Oh,
last
wow.
couple of weeks, ever since it started. He makes it very well known that Mary, but he's just using her first name. So I don't know if there's more than one Mary in the
I've only
tribe.
yeah, no, I've seen Mary Fan there every day, and her name's up there on the screen. So um Mary Fan, we're shouting you out now because
Yes, I'll
Desmond
highlight it.
Tutu says a person is a person through other persons. And so um, every morning, having that environment and culture of connection via Pat in this waiting room for upwards of an hour, we are all growing deeper connections because it's the same people showing up every day. You see through this process who's really committed to showing up, because Woody Allen said 80% of success in life is showing up.
Yep, just showing up. Just show up because that's where the opportunities lie. Because people, it's momentum, it's big mo, like John Maxwell says, and that's what's helped Pat too. And Pat will get into it, but I want to share it right now because I triggered myself into thinking that. So if you think Pat is this super polished, live streamer, TV 2.0 talk show host, as April and I like to say, podcaster extraordinaire, all of that, for me, he is. That's the way he shows up. But I'm also mindful that he's not perfect. None of us are perfect, and there's going to be some flaws, and there's going to be some bloopers. And if you've watched enough of Pat over the last few months, if not over the years, the last dozen so years, Pat has put some of his bloopers online. He put his very first podcast up, his very first podcast show, letting people know that his podcast show is coming. And then he didn't do anything for another month and a half or so before his first show because he was just as scared as all of us are. So if you think that Pat, is the no fear guy, it's like no. And you'll hear him say that at the beginning of the podcast. He still has, I'll use my word, the willies when he goes live because he doesn't know what to expect. We're all human. So yes, opening up the show ahead of time is great for a lot of people. They know to come and they connect with each other in text. But April and I want to do this in talk. We want to do this in voice, like her and I are doing right now. All we have to do is put up your pictures. We could do it like a podcast. a little bit more like a podcast on steroids. Get to see each other's pictures, photos, if you will. And we also want to do it in video. And so that's what we've been doing with the nightly show. We come on nights every night that Pat is doing a show, which is every day, 7 days a week. And we come on at 9 o'clock Eastern time, 9 p.m. Eastern. And if somebody shows up, then we will engage them, get to know them, do a meet and greet with them, and or if we already know them, ask them for their aha moments of Pat's show for that day or any day in the past that we haven't yet covered. As well as saying, yeah, this is my favorite moment. It wasn't really an aha moment. I kind of sort of already knew it, but it's become my favorite of the show because Pat unpacked it like nobody's ever done it before, and here's how it impacted me. Here's how it's helped me to become a better version of myself. All of that. We want to do that, not only for Pat, but for each other. So again, Desmond Tutu says, a person is a person through other persons, and that's what we want to do. And I know there's a lot of people that are very fearful, scared, maybe even have an inferiority complex of coming on, even just doing voice like this with your photo showing, and or coming on video and sharing with the world what your message is so that we can all shout each other out and say, oh my goodness, that is amazing. Because if you look back in the last, 5 shows now that we've done, Monday all the way through yesterday, Friday, this is our 6th show of the 33 days, the last 6, you can see 2 or 3 or 4 people that joined us on our show who have become better versions of themselves because of showing up, interacting with us, and interacting with each other. So I'll leave it right there and bring it back, and I'll highlight some more of what we're seeing here because, yeah, we have the chat to go back to.
So you're going to start playing the video?
So let me do that right now. Let me go back here. So what is we're going to play the video this morning about the first 6 minutes, and then I'm going to stop it, and April and I are going to comment on it. So April, just say Roy.
Oh,
and
did we? So I just wanted to just note this, that before the show started this morning, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to be there live beyond the first few minutes. I just wanted to stay for like, well, maybe it was 10 minutes because I couldn't help myself. It just like, even during the week when I can't really be listening to him fully invested because I'm working. I do invest a bit more time than I actually even have because yes, part of it is Pat, but a bigger part of it is the community. And I wonder if Pat realizes, I'm sure he does, how much people are drawn to his daily Q&As because of the community. I don't know if you would see the same type of momentum with his daily streams if this community hadn't rallied together, come together in light of Pat. I really believe that that's what the people are looking forward to every day, because like I said, we're every day going a little deeper with each other and starting to connect one-to-one with each other in different ways. So this morning I knew I wasn't going to be able to stick around for very long. So before the show started, I did, as Roy said, for the second time since Pat started doing this, I gave him a super chat of $10. As you see on the screen, I was the second super chat that he brought up on the screen today when the show started, and you'll see that when Roy starts the video, but I did an image grab here because that's what I do to document our journey. And I said, your dedication to serving us every day during this pandemic is appreciated. I look forward to your creativity and the engagement of this community every day. The energy here has kept me uplifted. And that, my friends, is not BS. Bologna sandwich. What were you thinking? It is authentic from the heart that, before this Q&A stuff started every day, Pat, I was in a funk. a funk, I tell you, because I was questioning everything about who I am. Roy and I were going through my junk in the trunk of that I have imposter syndrome. And well, that's a story for a little bit later. But through Pat, through this community of people on Slack, and hearing that there's other people out there who go through the same thing, because sometimes we look at other people and we think they have it all together. They know exactly what their path is, and look, they're doing stuff and they're getting stuff out there. But you know what? Behind the facade that you see on a person's website, on their YouTube channel, on their social media, Instagram, Facebook, all of that, behind the facade is somebody more than likely struggling to figure out how to nicheify, how to brand themselves, what it is that they're even doing in life. Is it the right thing? Is it the wrong thing? What, maybe I should make a pivot in what I'm doing. There's all these questions behind so many people who have a presence on social media, and you, whoever you are, may not even realize it. And so that's what I'm learning in all of this process. So thank you for that, Pat. And go ahead, Roy. Cue it up.
Good morning, y'all. Welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. Income stream day 30-something. It's the weekend, April 18th, 2020. Hope you're doing well today. Today, we're going to talk about style. Then I'm going to ask you to ask me questions. Then we're going to do a number of website reviews to hopefully help you all out. Then some more Q&A, and then I have some trivia time at the end of the show. Welcome to the Income Stream.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
Plug.
Saturday morning, you know, we're
I gotta say, I was telling this to Roy earlier. Oh my gosh. When Pat does the air drumming, I literally die. It is so funny, and it allows us an opportunity to really see Pat's animation and personality shine through. And y'all, I say 11 o'clock Eastern, but remember, Pat's on the West Coast, so he's doing this bright and sunshiny early at 8 a.m. his time, and he's probably already been up for a little while prepping to start his show. And he's like energized. He's air drumming, and maybe that's part of like what gets him going too. But I just wanted to note that here, that is super cute. And I now look forward to seeing him do his little air drumming riff. So, Pat, don't ever stop doing that, because I, for one, love it. Okay, back to you.
Ditto, absolutely. Pat is being Pat, and we love that because there's nothing pretentious about Pat. And April and I are all about no pretentious bonding in our movement, the net friending movement. So it's all about being authentic, and Simon Sinek gave the best definition of authenticity, being authentic. It's simply believing the words that are coming out of your mouth. Because so many people say, I wonder what Roy wants me to say, how he wants me to answer this, or how April wants me to answer the question that she's asking me, or how to be. So people are used to that. That's their default state. It's like, who do I need to be for this person in front of me so they'll like me? And that is so draining. Anyway, back to Pat.
We're doing this even on the weekends. So for those of you who are new here, welcome in. My name is Pat Flynn, here to help you make more money, save more time, and help more people too. And this live stream started 33-ish days ago. And so far, it's been one of the most fun things I've done ever, honestly.
Most fun things ever, honestly. And he's been in business 12 years. He's been on stages, physical stages, some of the big stages out there, including social media marketing world, which I consider the big behemoth of the, internet marketing space with, oh my goodness, I can't think of his name, Michael Stelzner. And I know he's good friends with Michael, and he's spoken on that stage amongst other stages. And one of his shows, I just triggered myself again, one of his shows recently, within I think the last 3 or 4 months, he did a show where he picked up all of his badges from all of the conferences that he went. And then when he picked it up, he goes like, oh, I remember this and I remember that from that particular conference that he's went through over the years, which now we're not doing because nobody's holding offline conferences. So a lot of people are doing this virtually. And just a side note, April and I use the Logitech webcams. And the C920, which is very popular, usually sells for about $69 on Amazon and elsewhere. And we just saw, 3, 4, 5 days ago, April, that they're now selling it. Some people are selling it for $300. So because a lot of people are doing this virtually and they need virtual cameras, some people are either price gouging and or, supply and demand. And so depending on your point of view on how you look at that. But for those of you who want one of these cameras and can't find it any cheaper than $300, I think Best Buy still has them for $69. So just a quick little tidbit there. You want to touch on that? This is the funnest time he's had doing anything ever, and it's it's the opportunity that he saw instead of getting bitter because of the global pandemic and being quarantined and everything else. He made something fun, funny, and fruitful, as I like to say, out of a live stream that he's been kind of, it's not really necessarily his thing, He's an introvert, and for those of you who don't know, Pat's an introvert, and introversion has nothing to do with shyness. It has everything to do with how you recharge your batteries when you're like spent. Do you do it by yourself? You're an introvert, and we do it with other people. You're an extrovert, basically. So from the little that you know about Pat and his history, would you say that is actually what you're hearing and seeing as well, that he is enjoying himself and this is like the funnest thing he's done like ever?
Yeah, I think it's the reason he is saying that is because he himself might be a little shocked that he's enjoying this so much. That's what we call blab, body language 2.0 and beyond. So Pat is online right now. Well, not right now, but I mean, earlier today talking. So that's his 2.0-ness, the online version of body language. The beyond part is I am assessing him based upon what he didn't say, but what was inferred between the lines, so to speak. And he wants us to let us know that he's having fun doing this, because in his mind, he's probably thinking, I don't know this until I check it with him, that he wasn't expecting and anticipating that he would be having fun, because like Roy said, he's an introvert, because he hadn't been doing live streaming, as he's told us that this is something he's gotten more comfortable with as he's been doing these daily Q&As. So he's being vulnerable, he's being open, transparent, and that's all I got.
And in turn, he's encouraging many of his tribe, including us, to do more of this. So this show that we're doing here every night, we would be doing something, but we might as well be doing something like this in line with what he's doing, and bring a tidbit or two up every single day. Since we're still in the early days of all of this, we're going to be all over the board, and we're going to get more polished, if you will, and I'm making air quotes, whatever that means, in delivering our content in light of Pat Flynn's content of the day before, and shouting out other people that we're getting to know in the Slack group, as well as our inner circle. We have an inner circle as well. And we just take use of these wonderful tools that we have today that very few people are actually using to go deeper in their relationships. I think a lot of people still have the Facebook friendship mentality. I'll friend you, you accept it, and I'll like a few of your things. You get a dopamine rush, you get an oxytocin rush, and that's the day. We call it a day, and then we do it all again tomorrow, instead of going like, hey, do you want to find out what we have in common and how we can help each other with what we have in common, like what we're doing inside the Slack group, inside our own inner circle, and so on and so forth, on our way to a people search engine for not the whole world initially, but for Pat's world, or a tribe leader who we decide, we handpick that tribe leader. My ultimate tribe leader would be Brene Brown, and April's would be Tim Tebow, And so right now we're doing this with Pat Flynn, and I'm sure he's got a large enough tribe where we can find 121 people who want to do what we want to do, and then we show them in a, they call it a pilot program. Some people charge for it. We're not going to charge for it. It's going to be free, and then we're going to show the rest of Pat's tribe what we can do with them to get them some notoriety, to get them some visibility, vital video visibility, as we call it, because Mark Zuckerberg says he wants Facebook to have 100% content that's video within the next 5 years, and he said that about a year ago. Whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know, but the algorithm does give a lot more weight to live video and then recorded video before you do all of the texting and so on and so forth. So he wants to see that happening, and we want to help people to make that happen, because we know that if you're shy or you're scared or you feel inferior or any of those emotions that are not good for you, you just connect with me in April and we walk you through this whole process. And being scared like 100% when you start, after like 30 minutes, hour tops, you're walking away going like, I can do this. I have confidence. I feel good. I didn't know I could be this comfortable feeling uncomfortable, because a lot of things you can't do by yourself. And gaining confidence in video, live video, even recorded video, even podcasting, you really can't do that by yourself, because you don't have enough other people's perspectives. You only have your own perspective. April was that way with me. You know, like I showed you earlier, the before and after. I'll show it again because it's timely. I'm talking about it right now. This was April 1.0 on the left. And April 2.0. And I always laugh looking at that, going like, what a difference. And she had all the confidence in the world to say to me, Roy, I'm April 2.0 after 42 days, because her thinking had changed, transformed actually, because she now realized, oh my goodness, this thing I just thought about, April 1.0 would have thought this, but now who I am now with all of your one-liners and my newly begotten, if you will, language. I'm speaking things differently. I'm saying things differently. I've removed the word try from my vocabulary. I removed the word spent from my vocabulary and replaced it with invest. I'm no longer spending time with Roy. I'm investing time with Roy and other people. And it makes all the difference in the world how you see yourself and the words that you use to empower or disempower yourself. And so I just wanted to say that and share that, because we all struggle with it still. I still struggle with it. Pat still struggles with it. And we'll hear that in a second. April, you got anything, or should I go?
Nope, go.
Really afraid of going live before this. And it just is one of those things where, hey, once you get into it, once you dive straight in, you start to learn, you start to get better, you start to feel more comfortable. But I will tell you, I still get a little bit nervous before I hit go live. I see a lot of the chatter here ahead of time, and I'm like, oh man, I want to make sure I deliver, because you're spending about an hour with me. Some of you have spent an hour with me every single day, like 33 hours together we've spent. How crazy incredible is that? It's actually more time than you would get access to me at my own event at like FlynnCon, which is pretty
I
incredible.
invested time, Pat.
First of all, thank you again for being here. I do this because we need to have something regular, I think, that we can look forward to, something Flynn-tertaining. And that's not
I love that.
something entertaining.
No, that's good.
A few dad jokes here and there, but most of all, just something that can hold us accountable every single day. In addition, the community here is amazing. If you're brand new, feel free to participate. You can be on the sidelines. You can be silent. That's okay. However, I will say that the crowd is inviting. There's a lot of regulars who show up who are so welcoming. You're all like the welcoming committee. And I just want to give a shout out and thank you to each and every single one of you. By the way, in case you forget, the link to this is going to be patflynn.com/theincomestream. Every single morning I change it after the show to the next one. You can get in early. You can have chats even before we hit live. And that's where you want to go for that. And as always, Team Flynn for the win. Couple shout outs before we get started with the opening monologue, and then Q&A, website reviews, more Q&A, and then trivia time, like I said. I do want to give a couple shout outs to some super chats that came in that I saw before I hit live. So first of all, I see Martin here, one of the regulars in the house. He always says, here's your chocolate donation. I don't know why, but hey, my wife and I will take that. However, I do want to let you know that super chats are not required.
So just in case Pat ever sees this, and I believe he will, because I like to create the future. Just saying.
Yeah, let's let's say that that one-liner that you like to create the future is from Abe Lincoln. He says, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." Go ahead, April.
So, Pat had put up the. Can you go back to get that that super chat up on the screen? It was right before mine. I think his name was Martin. Oh, not that far back. You know, if you hit your space bar, here's a little tidbit for anybody playing along at home. If you hit your left arrow, that's
Yes, and I just did it when you just triggered me because I haven't got that down yet. It's not yet second nature. Yes, I love that.
Listen, I watch my soap operas on YouTube TV, and I like to fast forward through sections, and I'm like, nope, right arrow, left arrow, takes you back 10 seconds, forward 10 seconds. So, Martin Hewlett is there every day. Shout out to Martin. And
Hey, Martin.
I don't want to say every day because I don't know if he's done this exactly every day, but as far as I know, every time I've been there, I've seen him give a super chat to Pat. Hey, that rhymes. Give a super chat to Pat. Give a super chat to Pat. Ooh, I can make a song out of it. Anyway, he gives him, and I don't know because he's like in the UK or something, somewhere overseas.
That's the euro. So
Euro.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that like the equivalent of $2? Because it looks like $2.
Well, it's the euro $2. So whatever the exchange rate is.
I want to know now. What is the?
You can do that later. Let's go through this because we can do that later.
Okay. Anyway.
So your point was that he's here every day.
He's here every day, donating his chocolate donation, and Pat didn't know what that meant. I think that Pat was thinking, if I were in Pat's head, which I'm not, the way he said that sounded like that Martin thought he was getting something related to chocolate out of, or I don't know. He wasn't really sure. But the reason Martin started saying that he's getting his chocolate donation in is because he figures that if he donates that money to Pat and Pat's cause, because this money is not going directly to Pat for those playing along at home, he's donating it to the San Diego Food Bank. And he says that every morning at the start of his show. Martin figures if he donates this money to Pat's cause, that will be less chocolate that Martin eats every day. So that's the story behind that. Just in case Pat ever sees this.
Okay, and so while you were doing that, I wanted to help everybody to understand what Google had in mind when they created the Super Chat. Super Chat is 2 words. It says here, YouTube launches Super Chat, a tool that lets you pay to pin comments on live streams. But you'll have to do your own troll patrol. This was January 2017, so this has already been in existence for 3 years. A lot of people use it for different things, so on and so forth. So you have an opportunity, like you see here with Martin, to get your comment on the screen, more so prominently so in the chat, because it's got things. But then Pat, like many people that I've seen, acknowledge their super chats and acknowledge the people who deliver them. And since Pat is doing this on a consistent basis, on an everyday basis, if you want to get your message across, if you want to get your comment across, this is one of the ways that April and I would teach you, educate you to get on people's radars. Because I'm pretty sure that Pat is aware of just about everybody, or will be triggered by the people who have already super chatted him over the last 33 days. And he usually has something to say, at least a very much heartfelt thank you. and then sometimes something additional because maybe it's new or they said something that triggered them and so on and so forth. So that's what a super chat is for. So it's not quite like advertising or promotion, like, hey, I'm going to send Pat $20 and now I get to promote my business, my products, my service, and here, click this link, buy now. It's not quite that obvious or that in your face. But that's all I have right now because I really haven't dug deeper into it than what I just said about what Google wants you to do and then what other people want you to do. So, April, thoughts on that? Super fans who do, and even non-super fans who do super chats. What do you think is the motivation, and what is their reason for doing it from what you've seen so far? And what is your reason?
Ooh, look at you. If I told you my real reason, I'd have to blank you, and that might not be here. I think for most people, it's an opportunity to be seen to do a super chat because they know that Pat's going to bring it up on his screen. And because there's so many people who show up in the live stream. And what's the average concurrent views that he's gotten on there? I think at any one time, I've seen
anywhere. I think from 150 to 200 right now.
I was going to say that. So if there's 150 to 200 people in there at a time, and that chat can go pretty fast at times. I even said the other day, it makes me dizzy because I want to see what people are saying, but it moves so fast that my eyeballs are like rolling up into my head and I get dizzy. So to be seen in that sea of people, the best way to get on Pat's radar, or to even get on the radars of the people that are there in the chat, to stand out in a noisy world, as they say, is to do a super chat. And I think that's the primary reason. I think the secondary reason, and maybe I'm speaking for myself. Okay, I am speaking for myself, is because I'm answering Roy's other question. Because we always see things through our own lens, from our own perspective is how we see other people. So
correct.
If I'm saying that this is probably why other people are doing it, then you can likely presume that I'm doing it for the same reason. So yes, I want to get on Pat's radar, not for the reason that most people do, because most people just want to be seen, but I want to be seen and recognized because I have a point B with Roy and what we're doing with the net friending movement, that when the time comes, when the time is right and everything's in alignment, I want Pat to quickly recall having seen my name, seen my photo, and feel some type of connection with me already. It just makes that transition into the relationship a lot easier. And so my secondary reason for the super chat, if Pat was, I don't know, if Pat was like, and this is totally a rare thing that would ever probably happen with anybody, but I'm using it as an extreme example. If Pat were using this money to like, wow, this really cool Maserati that I want to, yeah, I'm buying a Hummer. I don't know, whatever it is. Maybe Pat wants a new house. If it was something like that, I would find a different way to get on his radar. But because he's using the money for good to help feed people in need, I don't have a problem sending him a super chat, so that's just a bonus for me. So for me, it's twofold. It's getting on his radar while doing good for people in need. There you go.
Yeah, that's altruistic. And
did you know that? Like, what were you thinking was my reason besides the getting on the radar part?
Oh no, I know you, and so I know that everything you do is from a giving heart. I'm more in the planning stage. It's like what we're talking about right now is a module that April and I will have for our masterclass, and probably a light version for our newbie school. And that is, a lot of people don't know how to get on the radar of the person that they see could be that person to help them while you helping them in a win-win, mutually beneficial kind of way, like a collaboration, like a co-creation. And so a lot of people see, I want to take from Pat because Pat is so giving. I want to take from him and do this, this, and this without ever thinking about giving anything in return. Win-win, mutually beneficial, give and receive kind of thing. So as Gary Vee says in his book, jab, 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 right hook, give, and then ask for not for a take, but for a receive. Like, I'm going to give you good information. I'm going to give you good information, give you good information. And here, for a deeper dive, I have an online course. I have a masterclass. I have this service. I have that product. And people will love that. And so a lot of the people who get into internet marketing, digital marketing, they just want to sell their product. Hey, you want to buy my product? Yes or no? And if it's no, they move on and they don't want to build a relationship with you, build rapport with you. But as you can see, that's not the case here with Pat. 33 days, he said. More information that he's probably given to people who pay to go to a live event with him, his Flynn cons and so on and so forth, or when he's up on a stage. Because we've literally had 33 days, and some of those days have been an hour and a half. And so there's been definitely more than 33 hours of Pat Flynn, and a lot of people love the website reviews that he does and the tools that he provides for people, and the demonstrations that he has, and answering a person's question that is not only conducive to that person, but most of his audience. And that leads me to, so how many people are watching this, live and or the rest of the day? So it's usually anywhere from 1,500 to a little over 2,000 people are watching his daily income stream live and in replay. And that's why we do our show 9 hours after his show ends, usually at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. He does his 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time and then ends around 12. So we do it 9 hours later. Why? Because we give people an opportunity to watch it on replay if they can't watch it live, and to go ahead and put their favorite part of the show, their aha moment of the show, together in text, in audio, in video, so that we can share it with people and pick that from all the, hopefully, hundreds and thousands of people who will do this on a daily basis, hoping that it can be shown on our show. And, you get that adrenaline rush, you get that dopamine rush, you get that oxytocin rush of having your name in lights, so to speak, on our show and on Pat's show. So that's what we're hoping to do here in the coming days. Anyway, I'm done. Back to the show.
Martin here, one of the regulars in the house. He always says, here's your chocolate donation. I don't know why, but hey, my wife and I will take that. However, I do want to let you know that Super Chats are not required to be here. Super Chats are like paid comments. In fact, all the money that comes through does not get eaten. It gets put through people at the San Diego Food Bank who can then eat some food that actually need it. So thank you all for the donations. Not required. However, I do happily accept them, and I will push them forward to the San Diego Food Bank. Last month, we donated over 1,000 meals, and we're way past that already this month. I cannot wait to get to the end of the month to calculate all that for y'all, because that's you. That's not just me, but hey, thank you so much for that. Also, big shout out, thank you to April Roga. Your dedication to serving us every day during this pandemic is appreciated. I look forward to your creativity, the engagement of this community every day. The energy here has kept me uplifted, and that's awesome. I love that. Thank you so much, April. That's going to help a lot of people, and I just appreciate you so much. Somebody was telling me yesterday, Pat, you have no idea the impact that you have, and honestly, I don't, because not everybody's going to say thanks. And every time somebody does, I do appreciate it truly, but I'm not here for me. I don't want it to be something that I get big-headed about. My wife helps me remember that, and many other people do too. But most of all, I do this for you. And honestly, the more I give to you, I see some commentary here about like, Pat, you're the hardest working guy, whatever. I just care. I have been in this position before back in '08 when I got laid off. And I think this is because of where we're at now in the business, and my team and I, we all want to help and step up and serve you. So that's why we are here. So
I have a comment because some other camera shots that he does that are not the income show, he always shows his board, whether it's his cork board or his whiteboard behind him, and he's got all these notes listed on that. And those are actual notes that were hand delivered to him via mail or other ways. And he is so appreciative of that, and he keeps them on that board to keep him reminded of that and humble of that, and he keeps it in camera shot. So for those of us who know about it, look for that when you're watching one of Pat's shows that are not the income stream, because he has a different angle here, and look behind in the board and all of those handwritten notes thanking him for impacting their lives. And I can't see anybody on the planet not watching Pat for any amount of time and saying, yeah, no, he didn't impact me a bit. That would be a person that would be lying, in my humble opinion. Thoughts on that, April?
I believe that, it's easy to get caught up in celebrity. And I would guess that Pat knows that, is aware of that, has this awareness of it, that he wants to keep himself grounded. And that's what he uses to do that, is to remind himself of the ways that he's impacted people, and that every person is truly a person and not traffic being
totally.
Yeah. Traffic being driven to a website, as a lot of people.
Yeah, because I'm going to zag real quick because April said that. So the way you see a person is the way you treat that person. There's so many people out there teaching how to drive traffic to your website. And, I mentioned that to April one day. Do you see yourself as traffic? No, we see ourselves as people. So not how do you drive people to your website, but how do you accommodate the visitors to your web page, and how do you speak to them in such a way? And that's what Pat does with his daily reviews of people's websites. Are you talking about yourself, or are you talking about the people that are going to be your visitors to that page? And he doesn't say it this way, but I'm sure he'd agree with me. I say it this way: when somebody lands on one of your pages on your website, especially one of your landing pages, you need to continue the conversation that's already taking place in your visitor's mind. It's your visitor. It's your person who's visiting your website, just like somebody would be visiting your office or your home to get to know you better, right? It's a visit. I'm going to go visit my friend. So I'm going to go visit somebody who has a web page who might just have the solution to my problem. And so if you look at it like that, instead of driving traffic to my website, Roy, how do I make money on the internet? And how do I drive traffic to my website? Those are the two main questions that people ask, and they ask it amiss. Because if you ask that, you're not going to get as far. And then Pat wrote the book on superfans. He says for you as the tribe leader to look at your tribe, not as traffic or anything but superfans or superfans in the making. And I just wanted to point that out. So back to you if you wanted to finish your thing about, driving traffic. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, ugh. That's right. I mean, it would even be better if they said people. Because when you hear traffic, you get the word picture of like cars and trucks and a highway. At least I do. And that's, for me, icky. But I think so many people have heard that used over and over again ad nauseum that they've become immune to it, and then they start seeing themselves as traffic. Then they're good with it because they've built up a tolerance to that word usage. So,
or even worse, wallets and purses, as I like to say, because people are looking to convert every single person who comes to their page. Hey, you want to buy my product? Hey, you want to buy my service? No? Okay, next. They don't understand Simon Sinek's great one-liner. If you don't understand people, you don't understand business. And that's what we're all about. And that's what Pat's all about. And therefore, he wrote the book, Superfans. Back to you, April.
Back to you, Roy.
Yeah. Intro. First of all, welcome in Cheryl, Ellen, Sheldon. I see a question from Mary that I definitely want to highlight and get to at some point. Let me answer this question now, then we'll get into the intro. And by the way, Rafal, thank you so much for the super chat from you as well. But let's go ahead and answer this one. We'll do the Ask Me Anything really quick, get into the intro, because like I said, we're going to talk about some style, but I want to make sure I don't miss Mary's question. Mary was very influential for me here at the early start of the stream and helping me coordinate a few things. So thank you, Mary. I want to make sure I give back to you. Morning, Pat. How do you manage all the guest potential going to interview? Do you use CRM such as Salesforce? Using Excel is getting out of hand with all the guests. Well, at least you're using something. I know a lot of people who don't use anything. It can get very confusing. You can drop the ball in a lot of areas. I think a lot of people use Calendly as a tool to help them with managing their schedules, and that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I'm glad you stopped it there.
Yeah, because I want to get April's take on this, starting with somebody in a Facebook group. Travis, you can start there on what they're doing and give people ideas on what to do if they have a Facebook group or if they want a Facebook group or anything like that.
So Travis Chappell, he has a group that I can't remember the name of because it's been a minute since I've been over there. Oh my gosh, I can't remember it. It had the word networking in it. I know that. So it was a really long name. Travis Chappell is an influencer that came to us by way of John Lee Dumas and the emails that Roy gets. And when we joined Travis's group, in the description for the group, he invited us in his community to, and encouraged, he didn't just invite, he encouraged us to, and I say that because one is passive and one is assertive, right? You can just put something out there as kind of like an invite if you'd like to and make your language more passive. But in this case, he's strongly encouraging us to connect with people in his group using Calendly. And we weren't doing that, Roy and I, until we joined Travis's group. And we've been using it ever since. But originally we were posting on the banners and in Facebook Messenger, wherever we were communicating with people, we were using the URL that Calendly provides you to do your invite for people to schedule with you. But Roy came up with the idea to, and this is important, so I wanted to bring it up, to redirect people to Calendly via our website.
Branding, baby, branding, personal branding, baby. Always brand yourself.
So when you see netfriending.com/calendar, that is actually taking you to the Calendly website.
That's calendly.com.
Yes. So it is definitely a great tool, but I've also heard people recently, I think it had to be somewhere either in the Slack group or in the live stream. I've heard some people say they're a little hesitant to use a tool to schedule with people because it makes it less personal. I think it makes it feel more businessy.
So I totally disagree, but go ahead.
But that, while we may disagree, that's the perception because people don't know what they don't know.
So okay, so let me go ahead.
They are used to it goes back to the driving traffic to your website. They're used to seeing those calendar links and having somebody say, okay, I will give you a free 15-minute chat with me. And then after that, it's going to be X amount of dollars per 30 minutes or per hour. And so now a lot of people see those links and think that you're going to give them the softball and then you're going to give them the curveball with the pitch. And it's going to cost them dollars. So
those are the wrong people. Those are not your target audience people. They don't know what they don't know. And I just say to people, use Calendly or any other scheduling service with a calendar like that. They have a free version. It's pretty powerful. And then, of course, they have the fee version, which is even more powerful. So people who think like that, they're not your target audience. So let them think like that. You can educate them, educate them all you want. And if they don't want to make a new decision, that's fine. Don't stop using a calendar scheduling service like this, because it's easier to give them a link like this than to chase them down and go like, so when are you available? And then they go like, well, I'm not available. And then by the time you have 10, 12, 15 different times going back and forth, you could have just sent them a link to a calendar and said, oh, these are your times that you're available. And then that you tell them, hey, show me the times that you're available. Go get a Calendly account. It's free. Here's the link. You understand what I'm saying? It's just, I don't understand that mentality. It's like, I don't want to go back and forth with people. If I say, do you want to do this Tuesday? Yes or no? And they say no, then you tell me what day you want. And then if I say no, here, go look at my calendar link and you'll know exactly when. And if none of those days match, well, then we just won't have a connection. I personally, since I'm very blunt, I don't like to invest an hour in something that I can do for, 10 seconds.
Agreed. And it goes back to what I was saying about the perception. So I think it comes down to how you package that invite through a calendar link. Because people are going to use their own brain more than likely to figure out what it is you're doing.
And they always do. Yeah,
they're going to do it based on their previous experiences, in which, like I said, most people use Calendly to give you something for free and then give you the free and the fee. And so I think immediately about somebody that we have come to know, Matt Gill, through Lisa Nichols, and we did a show last night in which we talked about Lisa. Lisa Nichols is an influencer in the personal growth and entrepreneurial space, and Matt Gill has been partnered with her for more than several years now, and he has opened up his calendar to people. And I want to share this with you if you don't mind me doing so. I want to share my screen.
Yeah, just be you. You're good. We zag.
So here was a post that he had 4 days ago, and he's been putting this in many of his posts. It's this long post about stuff. I won't share all of that with you. But at the end, he says, P.S. I have opened up time on my calendar to connect and see how I may help you. So he's leading with the jab, jab, jab. Give. So he wants to see how he can help you. And if you need a quick brainstorming session, someone to pray with, or want to know how we might be able to work together, go to iclaimvictory.com and schedule your connection call. And he's using Calendly also. So he did what we've done. He has a website and he redirected Calendly.
Go ahead and click.
Well, I was just sharing my tab. So, well, that takes you to his website.
Okay, and then he's got like a link where you can schedule a call with him. Well,
he's got it takes you to this website where you put in you get on his email list. So he's using it to build his email list.
Oh, and okay, nice. Yes.
So what happens is,
I haven't seen this yet.
So what happens, and he's using Kajabi, if you can see it sort of up here, Kajabi.com. A lot of people use that for a variety of things, for all these tools like creating your own online course and building websites. So I did this. I clicked on his link and it took me here, and I put my name and my email in, and I got an email that has the Calendly link in the email.
Okay.
So that's how he's doing it. But But my point in all of this is that the way that he worded his post was starting off with, how can I serve you?
Correct.
And here's my link in how to contact me.
Plus, Matt does a lot of video. So just like yourself and like myself, I know his backstory. And when you know somebody's backstory and you can relate with it, it's an overlap for you. Then the more you get to watch, the more you get to hear, the more intimate you're going to be with that person. Of course, you're going to want to, yeah, Matt, I want your help. I want your insight on this. I'm kind of stuck. I need more help, blah, 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 this and that. And you're not going to think, oh, sales pitch, oh, this and that, and what have you, of the negative kind. Although a sales pitch is not negative. It's just a lot of people do sales pitches for stuff that are not valuable for people. And they promise more than they deliver, And my motto always is under promise, over deliver. And a lot of people do it the other way around. And so, as April said, a lot of people have gotten very cynical when they see something being done by Uncle Bob that was negative, and now they equate that with you. It's like, oh, you got a Calendly link? Oh, my goodness, you want to sell me something? Forget it. I don't want to talk to you. But if you build that rapport with someone like Matt, who's a live streamer, a TV 2.0 talk show host, that you're not going to think like that. I would never think like that. April, would you ever think like that? Like Matt's trying to sell you something?
No. Even if, well, you know what? I can't say that. That's why I think it's important to state your intent so that people don't use their own brain, because most people operate on the default thinking that somebody's out to get them, especially with the way the internet is nowadays, and the way that there's some people who do internet marketing in a not so
they don't have any integrity. They're just they just want to separate you from your money as quick as they can, and they'll use hypnotic marketing, and they'll use these words and those words, trigger words, and what have you, and they go to school for that, or they learn that from some unethical people, and it's just the status quo, the undertow of the status quo, and unfortunately, I just have to let those people be them.
But there's people, even a Matt Gill, even Elisa Nichols, all those people follow other people, and they may not be aware that what they're doing, because they hear something and they see it's working for somebody else. Even they can be infected by those people who are doing things the icky way, and they can in turn think that they're doing something, or their intent may be something good and positive, and they don't see it as icky, but on the receiving end of it, it feels that way.
Yes, it's unfortunate, and it's like that's just our environment and culture of what's transpired on the internet. So we just have to accept it and just not get caught up in it, and just help those that we can help, and let those go who we can't help or don't want to be helped by us. So
yeah,
that's the way I see it.
The whole reason we're even talking about this is because people don't know what they don't know, and they need a different perspective, and that's what we're lending to this particular topic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Pat, do you hear all that? Yes, sir. So back to Pat.
Calendars, just in general, are great for managing things as well. You can put notes into each little appointment to understand a little bit more about them. It keeps it keeps that person on top of mind, because once you start booking guests for your podcast way ahead of schedule, I mean, it might be 2-3 months out, and then you meet together and you're like, wait, I forgot why we were here. And so we don't want that. And so I think keeping notes of some kind, if you use a CRM like Salesforce, that could work, although that's obviously very expensive. I don't know of any other solutions that might work that are a little bit more budget friendly. I think Trello is another one that would work really well in terms of creating a special board just for guests with cards that you'd be able to manage from, reached out, haven't heard back, reached out, heard back, said yes, reached out, heard back, said yes, scheduled, and then, completed or something like that. So I think Trello or Asana or any of those project management boards could work really well too. Okay, let's get back into the intro, because I want to talk to you a little bit about style here. Not style like shirts that I'm wearing right now, but actually, yes, involving fashion. And where's this coming from? Well, I wanted to tell you a quick story about a man named Antonio Centeno. Any Antonio Centeno fans in the house? This is a picture of him right here. He runs a website called Real Men, Real Style.
Okay, so I'll fast forward through this. You can listen to this story. It's amazing. Basically, this gentleman reached out to Pat with a 26-minute video because he realized that Pat was going on stage. Pat, crossed Antonio's path back in the day. He didn't say exactly when this was, or if he did, I missed it. And, most of us guys have no sense of style whatsoever. So he runs a website, Real Men, Real Style. And so he said to Pat, basically in this 26-minute video, he said, Pat, guys who are a little shorter, they would look better if they wore this or that. And Pat, you have a little darker skin, so you would look better in this and or that. And he was just being helpful. And here Pat is, many, many years later, still being grateful because he tells the story that he did do that, dress accordingly, because Antonio didn't care whether Pat did or not. He just gave Pat new information, so Pat could possibly make a new decision. And if he got results, like Pat is always talking about, the quick hits, the quick results, if you want people to start following you and start trusting you, quickly, give them quick results. Don't make them jump through hoops to get results. And so this is exactly what Antonio did with Pat. Pat started dressing the part, and he mentions he was at an airport one time, and one of the airline employees started, asking him if he needed any help with this, that, or the other thing, and they started calling him sir. And Pat says, "I've never been addressed as sir before." He felt different. He felt better. Dress for success. Dress to kill kind of thing. And that's true, because when you dress better, you feel better. When you dress up, you feel up. And he goes through all of that. So I just wanted to give you the quickie on that, and I'll go through this a little bit more because I've already listened to that part. Let me see what this is.
You just be at the start of your journey, trying it out yourself to start, just so you can get a feel for your style and all that kind of stuff. That's what I recommend for people who do podcasting, to try and do the podcast yourself so that you can understand sort of your style and how you want it to be done, and then you can hand that stuff over. Plus, if that person you hire were to be removed at some point, well, then you can come back and sort of fill in the gaps yourself for a while. So you can check that out. But yeah, I think that's ideally where you want to get to go, because then you can focus. Now, where might you find these editors? There's a bunch of different places you can go. Yes, we've talked about Fiverr. Sean Brooks, thank you so much for that. I appreciate you, my friend. I will get to that question in just a minute.
So let me talk about Pat's, when he receives a super chat, he has done some outside of the default state, using automation and this and that, and I don't even know what he's using, but it'll show up on the screen here. So people who watch this without the comments on during the live show, or even in the replay, won't see these folks who are giving super chats to Pat. But Pat's got it to where it's coming on screen like this. He can see it. We can see it. He always acknowledges the person. He always thanks the person. And sometimes he goes deep and sometimes he doesn't, depending upon when you put in the super chat. So like today, April put in the super chat during the, I'll just call it green room time. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say the pre-show, which is not really a show, but the
waiting room is what I think they're calling it. People can get there and interact with each other in text before the show starts, so that they can make these awesome superfan connections. Because people who follow Pat, there's going to be overlap. There's definitely going to be overlap, and we've already met some really cool people through the Slack group. Had them on our show, have them in our inner circle. We're sharing resources. We're sharing each other. and that's the way to do it. So I was just sharing that because now I'm kind of going around a little here, a little there, because I don't know what's next. I don't know what's going on. But basically, we wanted to show Pat and Pat's tribe, our tribe mates, and others who are not in Pat's tribe and don't even know Pat yet, what a cool thing we're doing with the after show. Like right now, we've been an hour and 20 minutes now talking about today's show, which happens to be on a Saturday. It is 10:28 p.m. Eastern Time, April 18th, 2020. So we're just about ready to end here. I just want to know if April has any more things, and I'll just skip around a little bit because we usually want to hold our show to about an hour. But if it gets really good and juicy, then we just keep going because, yeah, it's valuable. So any other thoughts here that you want to add for Pat to see in the future, for our future selves to see in the future, and for people who don't know what we're doing? What is it that we're doing?
There's so much to unpack, mostly because we're two people doing this. We're two people watching Pat together, and Roy will have a thought that triggers a thought for me. We could unpack, you saw, I mean, just the first few minutes of the opening of the show was like an hour unpacking. There's so much that is done in a live stream, especially Pat's live stream, that is noteworthy, that needs to be unpacked. And it'll pass by people when you're watching it live or even on the replay by yourself that you would have never thought about because you're not going to go deep enough if you're in the middle of the live stream and it's moving fast, or even on replay when you're watching it by yourself, you're only going to have your own thoughts and you'll probably miss stuff. And that's why we do this, is because we want to go dive deeper into the things that people are missing when they watch somebody, how they do, what they do, why they do what they do. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that through these super chats and the questions that people are asking, I think Pat is super open, as we've seen, to making adjustments in his show based on feedback that he's getting from his community, as well as taking a second look at somebody that might want to collaborate with him on something. And if it makes sense in what he's doing to collaborate, then I think he's the type of person that would go, that makes sense. Let me think about that. Okay, yeah, let's do it. And you can't say that about a lot of people. Some people who have Pat's celebrity, we'll call it, and no, he's probably not going to be known by your friend who is not a live streamer or by your friend who doesn't follow in the same circles, but within Pat's circles, within Pat's niche, he is pretty well known. So, and he said
uber well known.
Uber.
Absolutely. And if you remind me before I close out the show, what we have here on screen, I will go, because I bookmarked it. He had talked about that when somebody asked me, "Hey Pat, how do I collaborate with you?" And he said, "Here's my email address, and let's make it happen, or let's see if it can happen." It's not like a done deal, but he's super open for you to send him a pitch, which is not a bad word. And April thought it was a bad word when I gave it to her for the first time, like 4 years ago. But now she understands that pitching people is what we need to do, because people pitch the networks, their TV shows, their comedies, their dramas, and none of those shows would have been there if nobody pitched it. Just saying hashtag.
Yes. So I don't remember what else I was going to say.
You were talking about collaboration, and many people, Pat's notoriety, platform, celebrity, we don't hear them wanting to make these opportunities for people to collaborate with them like we want to do, because we have a win-win mutually beneficial thing that can be beneficial for everybody. It's a win-win-win all the way around. And there's even a revenue stream attached to it. That's not icky, in my humble opinion, because I've already heard so many people say, wow, that's a really great thing. We should do that. Yeah, we should put that together. That's so needed, because it's promoting people, vital video visibility for everybody, a people search engine. And nobody's got one out there because, yeah, their ideas are too broad, too grandiose, so to speak. And ours is just one tribe leader at a time. And who wouldn't want to be in the people search engine of all the people that follow Pat? And I think it's going to be in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions.
Yeah. It still didn't trigger me what I was going to say. So I'm
Okay,
dead.
well, we'll go on and it will. And then I'll go back to the collaboration part. So go ahead and show the, he's going to get into website reviews. I want to do a little bit of this so that people can know what he's doing with the website reviews.
Website reviews by Pat Flynn. Let's do this. Website reviews. You all know the time. We do this halfway through the streams, and we try to make.
You like what he does with his graphics, his video, his music. He makes it entertaining. It shows his persona, his personality. Pat, you're not just a talking head. You're the boy next door. April, help me. Yeah?
Yeah, he's the guy next door. I think he's moved beyond the boy stage, but yes.
Yeah, well, we refer to you as the girl next door, and you're past the girl age, but it's just a that reminds me. I want people to take all kinds of assessments so that people can find each other. We took an assessment, a brand personality archetype assessment with Kay Putnam, and Pat talks about quizzes and stuff like that, putting quizzes together to get people on your email list and or get them know you and this and that. I think that was on one of the shows, the last 2 or 3 shows this week. And if I bookmarked it, I could bring it up on the next show. But I remember you saying to me, oh my goodness, you got to take this assessment of your personality in a archetypal kind of way, brand archetyping, personal branding. I always say if you don't brand yourself, someone else will, and you may not like it. So everybody needs a personal brand. I'm known at its lowest common core as the speed relationship guy. That's how I build myself. I can build relationships with people very, very quickly. What takes other people a year to do, I can do in 4 or 5 hours, if not less. And April is the girl next door and or the face of the net friending movement and so on and so forth. And she's got the special needs moms moniker and everything else and so on and so forth. So, usually we wear more than one, but we have to have one brand, one personal brand, because Jerry Garcia says of the Grateful Dead, it's not good enough to be the best at what you do. You must be perceived as the only one who does what you do. And when you get to that status, then that's amazing. And April and I can help you with doing just that, because I helped April to do that, and other people have helped us through their challenges, their 5-day challenges. The last one we did was an intro commercial, and we also did one as a signature talk that April now does and shares 3 minutes or less on who she is as far as her personal branding and our personal branding together. So your website is going to reflect that as well, because you do use personal branding, whether you know it or not, when you first put your website together. And, a website is never done because you go through many iterations, especially if you get a review from somebody like Pat. So let's see what Pat is doing here, because April and I are in the early stages of putting our own website together. I know what I want. She knows what she might want. And together we can do the brain dump, the brainstorm, and the blueprint. But getting information from Pat is super invaluable. And we got some of that from Christoph Merrill the other night when one of our meet and greets, the first one on our show, broke into a, hey, let me look at your website and let me give you some website review tips. So that was amazing. So let's see what Pat has to say about this first one here and see if we can get some tips, and then we'll end the show.
Make it fun. However, I can't do website reviews with this because the pixels block the... Anyway. Okay, so let's do some website reviews. And to help me, I need you to type in, if you want to get your website reviewed. By the way, I cannot review everybody. I wish I could, but I can't. I select at random, essentially. So what you need to do is type in your URL, but do it in a very sort of fun way that allows me to get it without YouTube blocking it. So like spell out dot or do something that allows it to get through. Sometimes they don't get through, in fact. So you have to be a little bit creative and try to come up with a way to get your URL sent to me here on the interwebs so that I can review it and we can make it happen. So, okay. And then I'm gonna do as many as I can. We do these for about 3 minutes and we'll do what, we'll just do our best. Okay, so I'm gonna hit up the website. You'll know who it is once I get in here. So cool. I am going to actually give me a moment. This is your pee break right now. I'm going to collect a few of these. I'm going to write them down on my Post-it note and actually bring them up so that we can just speed through that. So let me just give me a moment.
Wow, that's longer than a moment.
.com.
So I remembered what April said. If you want to fast forward and not use your little mouse and the thing because it's not real precise, just use your left and right arrow keys on your keyboard. And I did. I must have fast forwarded about 3 or 4 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, and you could do it also while it's muted, while it's paused. Like do it now because it's paused.
Yeah.
Right?
So, but before I go anywhere, oh, never mind. That's not a real site. Sorry. So it goes 5 seconds at a time, correct, April?
Yes.
And that's that 5 in the middle there.
Yes.
And then when you go backwards, it goes the same 5 seconds, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm doing it. Do you see it?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that it also works when you have it paused.
It's actually best when you have it paused. Because then you
you're
can...
not hearing all that crazy...
Right. Yeah.
sound.
Right. And you can kind of go to where you need to go. So let's see what he's got to say here.
Okay, first one coming up. All right. Now, I didn't capture the names to go along with these. So if it's you, be like, hey, that's my website, which would be cool. So let's go. We're going to start with Pythonista. Pythonista Planet. And this is from, see, Ashwin. See, I got to know who this person is right away. I think, first of all, love that I just was like, who is this? Oh, there he is. Cool. So we're going to do these website reviews. This is a website about...
Okay, so my idea is to have, well, no, I'm not going to switch it right now. I don't have time. I was going to show you the swipe file, as I like to call them, that inspired me to put the homepage together for us, April, the way that I wanted to. And so I'll let April explain what my thoughts are based on what Pat just said. So did you catch what he just said? And would our website above the fold, because there's a term above the fold, which is what you see here. So you don't have to scroll down to find out other information. Everything is above the fold that you need to know. And you can say, I'm in or I'm out. I like what I see. I want to go down and scroll down, or I don't like what I see. This is not me. I'm not your target audience. I'm out of here. So could you share with Pat and with others what our website's going to look like, the opening screen, the above the fold screen for the homepage, and maybe every other major page as well when they land there for the, like, I call it the masthead. You call it the banner.
I would if I knew myself, because this is something that we were just working on. Well, I was working on yesterday. That wonderful banner thing at the top is very Oh, you're talking about our website. Never mind. I'm thinking YouTube. I don't know why. Okay. Brain fog. So our website is going to have a video. And it's going to tell you with a text overlay on top of the video what we do, who we are. That for us, divine connections are daily occurrence. So the person who arrives at our website first is going to see a video of me, which is going to be taken from a live stream, likely, that we've done. And you get to see my animation, and that's going to give you a vibe about who I am. So you're probably not going to think much as you're seeing it. It's not like you're going to go, do I like her? But that is going to take place in your head automagically. You're just going to either vibe or not vibe with what you see, because there's not going to be any audio. You're gonna,
Right. It's going to be on mute, and there's just going to be her name, and then a quick little sentence, or maybe at most a paragraph, and that's all you're going to see basically, other than another button or link. First time here, start here, new to our website. It's something along those lines, so that you can go, oh yeah, I want to find out more.
yeah.
Because the scienceofpeople.com, Vanessa Van Edwards, the research shows, which I've known this, but I didn't even know that there was research to it. The first time you meet a person, just by looking at them, they don't even have to say anything. You already know instinctively if you are going to trust them, like them, and buy from them. You know instinctively. Just within the first, some people say within, a tenth of a second. Some people say within 7 seconds. But anyway, it's very, very quick. When you first meet someone, you know, do you trust them? Do you like them? And are you going to buy from them right away without them even saying anything more than that? So that's important to capture that, because I understand that. So when you see a picture of a website like this, no face, no nothing, it's kind of just text. It's got stop. It's got, a little whatever that is, that graphic, and so on and so forth. And then they're using words that most people don't even know. A Pythonista. Do you know what a Pythonista is, April?
A person well versed in Pythons.
Pythons as snakes, or Pythons
person-
as programming language?
Oh, I don't know, because I don't know what I don't know. I'm
Right.
not their target audience.
Obviously. So Pat goes in to talk about that, but I just wanted to just share with Pat and everyone else that that's what we're doing. Your face is going to be there in video form. They're going to see the animation. They're going to see the close-up. They're going to see your name. They're going to see the 2.0 part. That's going to bring curiosity to it. They're going to see a sentence or a paragraph, and then they're going to see a button that says start here, or first-time visitor, or something along those lines that identifies them, that self-identifies them. Yes, first-time visitor. Yes, I want to start here. Yes, all that good stuff. So I just wanted to point that out, because he said, oh, good, I finally saw a picture of him below the fold and his name.
Wait.
Python, which
So I want to also say that through what Pat's doing here with his website reviews, it has really inspired the people in the Quarantine Slack group to come together and review each other's websites in the same format that Pat does, by going and looking at the homepage.
Isn't that awesome? I'd ring a bell if I had a bell to ring right now. So they just started that channel that said, if you want a website review, right, something along those lines.
Yeah, it says
Go in
post your
here.
website for review here. And
Right.
there's
How cool is that?
Yes, there's people who have done that, and they're giving feedback in text, which is good. But if they would get together in this environment and do like what Pat does, but even better, do what we do, because there's more than just one person here, having that feedback in real time in a fluid conversation where you can go through it with that person present, like Christoph did with Deb the other night, and you'll have to go back 2 nights ago to go catch that. So that would have been on the 16th, I believe. of April, having the real-time feedback and allowing for that person to clarify and ask questions, get clarification. It's just, there's nothing like it. And
absolutely. And just very
something
quickly,
that most people would have to pay for.
yes. And even though it's not professional advice, it is different perspectives, and it's still valuable. And you can go longer because Pat only goes like 3 minutes, maybe tops, 4 or 5 minutes. But still, that's very limited, and you can get so much more because he basically just does your homepage and not all the pages. And what your articles are, what your social media content is, and all of that. Are you actually, speaking to your ideal target audience, and are they receiving what you want them to receive? Because most people have no clue. And even if they went to school for it, and even if they took a class for it, it's still just one other person's perspective, and you need more. So if you think you only need one mentor in life to get you through life, I think you need to think again. Okay, I know you need to think again, because you need several mentors, and you need the mentor that is most like you in your demeanor, in your personality, in your persona. And you won't know that until they tell you that. And most mentors, trainers, influencers, people who put courses together, they don't even tell you that. And that would be another thing, April. We could do that as far as bringing those people on and finding out what their personalities are. It's like, hey, you got a course about email list, or you got a course about helping people monetize their expertise. So tell us, what is your personality type? What is your archetypal type? And so on and so forth. And then people go, oh, I'm like that person, so maybe I should do it like them. Because if you're not like that person, you might have a tough time doing what it is that they're telling you to do. Because if your bent is not to talk and speak on stage, virtual or physical, then you might not want to follow that person. You might want to follow a person who does this from a personality perspective that you have, just doing text, just doing maybe this rather than that. And I'm being very general here, but my point is you need to follow somebody who has your basic tendencies in order for that to work. Otherwise, you're going to get halfway through it and your $2,000 is going to be down the drain because you're going to go, oh, this is not my style. It's too hard. It's not my natural bent. Because if I have to do a lot of reading, forget it. But if they provide me with a lot of video, step by step, click here, click there, insert flap A into flap B, I'm in. April?
Yes.
Which is not the snake, it's the code, right? Code, I would imagine. Based on what I'm seeing here, it looks like it's about the coding language. So 3 minutes. I usually go a little bit longer. So if the time runs out, don't be like, hey Pat, the time's ended. But we're just gonna go as best as possible. So what am I looking for here when it comes to these website reviews? I'm looking for, can I understand exactly what this website is about and how is it going to help me immediately? I'm trying to look for, well, what's the number one thing you want me to do when I get to this website? And are you pointing me in that direction? I'm also looking for just design and distractions and things that may not be necessary or needed. I'm also looking to know a little bit about who you are because there's so much noise on the internet. The one thing that you have the advantage of over anybody else is, guess what? You. So I'm looking for a little bit of you. It doesn't have to show up on the homepage necessarily, but I just want to know, like, hey, if I'm curious, if I'm in, but I want to learn a little bit more about who's the author behind this page, I want to know about that. And then finally, I'm just looking for other things that just might be standing out that are great. So even if I don't select your website, or even if you don't have a website, this is a great time for you to just understand, what works, what doesn't, and to just see a bunch of different examples all in a short period of time. And there we go. So yeah, here we go. Good picture, by the way. Okay, so I'm going to put the 3-minute timer. Here we go. Pythonista Planet. I like how it has this hamburger menu. I think a lot of people who are in the coding space understand this. Typically, I wouldn't recommend doing this because usually a nav bar with the most important things, the categories at the top. But I think in the coding space, a lot of people would likely know what this is. So if I click on this, yep, it expands. And that's very good. I think it just adds a little bit of professionalism to the site. Home.
Pat said exactly what I said to you. Just saying.
And unpack that for people who weren't there.
So Roy had suggested, well, he actually kind of demanded a week or so ago when we were working on the website, he said, I want a hamburger menu. And I was like, a what? So I see, when he said it, I never heard of hamburger menu terminology, but I knew once I thought about it, I was like, okay, hamburger. And I'm visualizing a website and a menu. And I'm like, oh, that must be the 3 little lines, because that would be like 2 buns and some meat in between or something. Okay, that makes sense. But I had to think about it. And I consider myself tech savvy. So I also remembered going back to the days of not being tech savvy. And I was like, what's this? What, like, where is, I would be in search of what I'm used to seeing, which is the navigation menu bar, where you have the home, the about, the blog, contact, and whatever else is the standard navigational menus on a website. And I think, there's, for me, it depends on the people that you want to attract with your website. Do you want somebody who is the most tech savvy contacting you? If so, then yeah, put the hamburger menu. But if you're open to receiving people in your tribe that are not that tech savvy, and you know that there could be people that are willing to learn and who can grasp this stuff quickly, then go ahead and put the hamburger menu. For me, I get it from a design standpoint that you want to free up as much real estate on the homepage as you can, so that people are presented more with who you are and whether or not they should outreach to you. But if you're making the barrier to entry for contact with you hard by putting a hamburger menu that nobody realizes is there, then what have you done? Like, I think that's just as important as the banner area where you're giving all the information about whether or not somebody should even connect with you. Thoughts?
So I'm going to show the swipe file that I want to pattern our website after and use April's video and so on and so forth. So here's the hamburger menu along with the menu. So on this gentleman's website, he did...
Hold on. Are you talking about this?
Yes. So
Okay.
This is Jenna Kuchar's website at jennakuchar.com. And so there's a video playing and you get to see her and herself and her persona and her personality. So if she's for you, you're going to want to look around and yeah. So up here you have the standard buttons, standard links, home, about, courses, podcasts. But then here you have the hamburger menu, and then it even says menu sideways. So when you open it, I love this. This is brilliant. I have never seen one this big. And so we're using the Divi theme, and that's exactly what I want to do with April's, is show a more casual side to April, a little bit more information, like it says here, all of this kind of stuff. Just at a click of one button, and then she has the regular buttons there. So I went to her about page, right? And she's got this, and very clean. Shows all of her. Look at all these different ones over here on the side. That's kind of cool. More about, who she is and all of that good stuff. So I want something similar to this. And all you see here is the menu. Here, let me remove the brand so that you can see. It just has the hamburger menu here, but it says menu, and it doesn't have any of the others across the screen. So if you click it again, there you go. You have the same thing. You have home, about, the blog, the podcast, courses, but now you have the shop, favorite things, and then you have all these other things that at just the click of a mouse, and I find that very clean and very, like, you can go to Facebook, you can go over here on the sides, you know where she's at on social media immediately. You can connect with her anywhere. I love that. So, and yeah, I haven't even had to scroll down. So this is what I want to do for April as well, and we're using the Divi theme to do it. It's just I'm not finding all of the things that I need, so I need outside help. But anyway, I wanted to show you this part. And so, April, isn't that intuitive, or do you need to be like a complete like techie person in order to navigate that? Because it's getting more and more known to people that if there is no other thing, if you don't, even if you don't put the menu, people would know to click that because we have those three dots on our browser now. Isn't that true?
Yeah. I like, and I didn't realize on her website that she had the hamburger menu next to the home.
Yeah, the five main, her five main things.
So, and I think if you do it that way and then put the hamburger menu to add like a bunch of other things, that makes sense to me. But just to have a hamburger menu by itself, no.
Right, and I was only going to do like two, like, home and start here. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. So to make it like, the less choices you give people, the more reasons you give them not to click the back button, because a confused mind does nothing and they click the back button. So don't give them too many choices is my thinking on all of this. So let me go back to Pat. Where were we? Was it this one? I hope so. Yeah, it was. Okay.
Stop. Him. I'm like, oh, I just got here. Like, okay, before you go, want to do a Python project but worried about ideas? Here's your ultimate resource. Read more. So that's a big ask, Ashwin, for me to just like stop what I'm doing. Like literally nothing else on this page matters except this right.
Can you go back to where right just before he said stop?
So I'm going back 5 seconds at a time. What? Tell me when.
Okay, I don't know. Right there should be good.
Okay.
I think a lot of people who are in the coding space understand this. Typically, I wouldn't recommend doing this because usually a nav bar with the most important things, the categories at the top. But I think in the coding space, a lot of people would likely know what this is. So if I click on this, yep, it expands. And that's very good. I think it just adds a little bit of professionalism to the site. Home, about, book reviews, etc. Pythonista Planet, cool. Now, the first thing that pops out to me is stop. I'm like, oh, I just got here. Like, okay, before you go, want to do a Python project but worried about ideas?
So it's weird. I don't know if you thought this. I don't know if anybody thought this. But when he first brought this up and I saw the stop sign, do you know what it reminded me of? Say no. Because you're going to say no on him. Okay. It reminded me of like a spam / ad banner. Like one, like a spam banner. It didn't look like this was meant to be part of the website, but that he was linking to, or she, I don't know who the person is he's reviewing.
It's a he.
A he. So yeah, it almost looked like he was linking to an advertisement. I don't even know how to describe it. Like when you're in an app on your phone and it says stop, and then you think it's commanding you to do something related to the app, but it's really just a banner that's an ad for like an antivirus or something that is like a sponsor, a paid sponsor for that person's app. That's what I thought of when I saw that.
So I didn't think anything of it because I wasn't thinking at all about any of this. I just wanted to go with what Pat was saying. But now what you just brought up, I agree with that. This looks more like an ad, a third-party ad, than part of what this actual website is supposed to be. And it was very negative because most people don't like banner ads, even if they're very relative and relevant.
Yes, so, and I don't know that I don't know that the stop sign is a pleasing thing for people's brains when they see it.
I would have the green go. It's almost like he expects you to leave his site right away, leave this page right away. Hey, before you go, want to do a Python project? Yes. But worried about this? It's like he's anticipating the negative.
Yes. Good stuff.
Here's your ultimate resource. Read more.
when this is over.
Sorry, I didn't know.
Okay,
Yeah, just tell me go, and then I'll play Pat. I'll just wait till you're talked out.
When we're done with this, which could at this point very well be 4 hours from now, because so much stuff here.
And we have gone shows that have been that long because they've been so good.
Yes, but we can't because April is still feeling under the weather, as they say. So we're gonna have to wrap this up soon because I'm feeling.
You just tell me, and we'll just do part 2, so we can do this in parts, or we can go to the next. Day.
Let's break this right after he's done with this site and. But I do want to say that I think what we've done here tonight and keeping on point with Pat and his show today, this is in my opinion, the perfect format for how these after shows.
Right, I agree with you. And like I said at the beginning of the show, we haven't been able to do this, just you and I, simply because we've had so many people, and it's a good thing. It's always a good thing to have people to join us on our show as co-hosts or guests or meet and greet people, and that's what I want to do also. So I want to mix it up. I don't want to be too rigid because I want to use other people's content. I want people to use a proprietary hashtag. I want them to go and take little clips, 30-second clips, 20-second clips, even 2 or 3 minute clips, and then talk about it just like what we're talking about it using this platform. Everybody can upload their profile picture. And hopefully it's a picture of your face and not of like something else, because we want to get to know you. So we might not use you if you do a picture of your dog or do a picture of a fire hydrant or something like that. Go ahead.
Oh, I envision after this show is over that we do take sound bites from, because we'll be over 2 hours by the time we're done. Take sound bites from this, drop them into the Slack channel.
Good idea.
Show people there in small bite-sized chunks what we've done here, and then post the longer link for them to go for the deeper dive and see what kind of feedback we get, because we're providing a lot of perspectives in this video that most people would not, right down to what we just said about that banner. That was a perspective that even Pat didn't have, as far as I could tell so far. So go.
Right, and we don't know yet what he has to say about it because he hasn't even got that far. Okay, go.
So that's a big ask, Ashwin, for me to just like stop what I'm doing. Like literally nothing else on this page matters except this right here. That is a huge ask with literally a stop sign on there. So number one, you need to sell this a little bit more. Want to do a Python project, but worried about ideas? I mean, if a person doesn't want to do a Python project, they're out, right? So I think if you know that that's why they're here, then great. Like stop them in their tracks, good. But worried about ideas, here's your ultimate resource. So, okay, read more. So I would just reveal a little bit more about what this ultimate resource is, or instead of read more, at least have a call to action that is tied to this very abrupt stop, right? Like click here to get the resource, or get the resource here. Also, I would share a little bit more about, is this a video? Is this a PDF? Am I going to have to put my email in? I'm not quite sure exactly what this is yet. So I'm actually going to click on this because I want to see where it takes me. Read more. 55 Python project ideas with helpful tutorials. Okay, love it. So this is this is going to be a massive SEO play right here, which it looks like it's designed for that, and it looks really good. What's up, Rohan? Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. This is a beautifully laid out blog post. A lot of, and by beautifully laid out, I mean like it has the nice headlines there, so it's easy to track. You have a table of contents up top, which is helpful for Google too. Yeah, very good. So 55 ideas. Now, this is perhaps your most populated page. So I don't know if a stop or a start here would be better. And I think somebody even just said that right now. Yes, Jeff said that. So when it comes to, by the way, thank you so much for the super chat, Rohan. I appreciate that. But I'll get to that in just a moment. I think the biggest thing when it comes to, the biggest thing when it comes to like the first thing you want people to do is that actually the first thing you want people to do, right? Because here on the webpage, I'm seeing, so it's gone now. So that at least you are giving me the opportunity to not see it every single time. So that's good. But that is mixed with, okay, what is Pythonista and how to become one? Check it out. This is, again, also a very large call to action area that is taking up a ton of space that you are just assuming that nobody's been here before. But the stop thing is gone now, which means I was here before. So this I might likely is kind of irrelevant right now, if that makes sense. But anyway, not terrible, but I'm just like that stop is not necessarily drawing me in as much as you might like, versus a start here, like, hey, new to the site, start here. Because if I don't know what a Pythonista is and you don't tell me right up front, how do I know if I want to become one? So check it out. This is probably the about page or something about the website. Your blog writing is really good. Like your blogs, no problems there. I think that they're really well keyworded and all that stuff. You have some good stuff here, really well laid out. So yeah, it's just called at like, what's the first thing you want people to do? Maybe instead of like one on top of the other, maybe they're side by side. One is like, hey, looking for Python ideas. Here is my most popular post, 55 blog post ideas to help you right now. Click here to get access to it immediately. And that would be very clear. I would know once again whether or not that's for me right away. And then on the other side, it says, do you want to be a Pythonista? It is a Python expert, even if you're just starting from scratch. Click here so I can show you how you can become one. I think you have to define a little bit about what Pythonista is right up front, because this is your homepage. This is that you want to define all the things so a person doesn't have to think, right? So I think that's really important. What's up, Michael? No worries being late, but hopefully...
I have to say this because it's bugging me.
Before you do, I want people to pay attention to, this is what, we're 10 hours, 11 hours after the show ended. And I don't know how many were live and how many were watching in replay, and we're one of the replay ones. But, 1,500 views on the weekend, 1,500 to 2,000 views right now. And if we come back here in 2 or 3 months, I'm sure it's going to be between probably 4,000 and 5,000 views on a daily basis. It's just the momentum by doing consistent things every single day. It just draws momentum, and people expect you to be here. Even if they can't be here with you every day, they know that you're here and they can come back and just do like we do sometimes. We don't have time for the whole entire hour or hour and a half, but we just scroll through it real quick and we see some of the headlines or the comments and whatever attracts us. And plus, if you know how to go to the transcript, you just click on these 3 little buttons right here, and you see you can do right here and click open transcript, and then you have the word for word transcript of all of this, and it's done auto-magically. Go ahead, April. You just wanted to say.
But you have to wait for if you go to those 3 dots after his stream ends, you won't likely see the open transcript because that has to take time to render everything. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and the render time is usually the same amount of time as the video. If it's 10 minutes, you can come back in 10 minutes. If it's an hour, come back in an hour, and the transcript will be there. That's kind of what I found out. So back to you, April.
So the reason I asked you to pause this was because, and this is just a pet peeve of mine, there's something making a clicking noise like that people are, I don't know what it is. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's like a popping sound from another app he has open. Maybe in Ecamm, it gives him a little ping every time somebody makes a comment. It goes on throughout his stream, and it really distracts me. Because I'm thinking that it's coming from my computer. So it's that trigger that we crazy people who are on social media all day, like bells and whistles, the Pavlov's dog thing.
Yes.
So I keep thinking, oh my gosh, is that Slack? Because it kind of has a similar sound to Slack when somebody mentions you. And so the whole time he was going through this website review, I'm thinking, I wish there was a way he could turn that off, at least when, he's diving deep into something, because that's all I can focus on.
And there was a show that I heard him speak about that, as other people were saying stuff like that, and there was something else in the background that was making noise, and he turned it off. So obviously Pat is very techie. He's got a lot of stuff going on that he doesn't realize that maybe this new app or what have you is also making this noise. So until somebody brings it up to him, he's not going to know. Or he may be aware of it, but he doesn't think that it's a bother to people like yourself. So that's a great point, by the way, because I say that to April all the time because she's got a really hot mic. And so any movements on the table, and it was the same with Deb, one of the people that joined us. Her mic was positioned in such a place that when she touches her desk or her table or what have you, it's really loud because it just reverbs into the mic. And so a lot of you need to be aware of that. And you should ask people, is there any annoying noises that are coming from me that I'm not aware of?
That's super on point, because you don't realize, being on your side of the microphone, how loud things are coming through, or you may not even be aware that there's stuff from within your computer that is being heard by your audience. So that is a great habit to get into. And I know Roy was semi-kidding, but when you do start your show, just say, hey, if there's anything that any audio that comes through that you hear, if something's too loud or distorted or whatever, just, feel free to type that in the comments and let me know so that I can remedy that, because I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's done basically with this gentleman, Ashwin, but let's see.
This is helpful for you. And the last thing I want to check is your about page, because I think that's really key. I don't know if you're collecting email addresses. Images look great. Your smile looks great. Yeah, I mean, I would include your about page, by the way, everybody, is a great place to include call to actions after they read, right? Because your about page, yes, it's about you, but it's also about them and what you can do for them. It's a perfect conversation continuation place. So they've gotten there because they want to know more about you. Have your opt-in forms in there, or at the bottom of this page, Ashwin, is where you would want to put, okay, now if you know what that you want to be a Pythonista, I'm here to help you. Click here to get started, or click here for my most popular posts. Click here for my programs, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's really key. So thank you for being on the chopping block there. We're going to go on to the next website here.
Okay. That's
okay, so we'll end here, and we'll just share with Pat that what I want, and I'll collaborate with April because her and I really haven't sat down to actually go through what we want to see on the show so that people can come at the top of the hour, come at the bottom of the hour, and find the exact same segment each and every time, just like here with Pat. And if you didn't see it, let me show it to you right now. He has these segments on the side. I mean, he's so creative. Do you see over here? Intro and welcome, ask me anything, and now he's on website reviews. He did the very first one. So we know what's coming up. Hey, more Q&A and trivia time. It's like, I love that, right? I see this a lot on my sports programming. When they do that, they have like 30-second or minute segments, and they tell you what the next news item is that's coming up. Yeah. And you're more apt to stay tuned or go to the restroom or go to the kitchen while you're not interested in this particular segment, but you are interested in the following segment. So April and I haven't done anything like this yet for the entire half-hour show, hour show, but I think we should. April?
Yes, I agree. And also, because he's using that timer for the website reviews, you as the viewer can then assess about how long the website review portion of the live stream is going to be. So if you're watching it live, you can go, okay, he usually does, 2 or 3, and that's 3 minutes each. I got 10 minutes because I don't really want to watch this right now. I just love his format. And yes, I want to swipe file him for what we're doing with this after show.
Yeah, like he goes for an hour usually. He set it for an hour, but you know as well as I do, April and I had set ours for an hour. And sometimes we went 2 and 3 hours, depending upon, the guests or the topic or what's going on. And so he sets his website reviews for the bottom of the hour at the 30-minute mark. And so you can see here, it's already 43 minutes in, but he did this website review here, and he went longer than 3 minutes on this. So, yeah, and then you can expect the stuff at the end. In the Q&A section or the Ask Me Anything section, aka AMA. So I love it. It's almost like a late night talk show, right? You have the monologue in the beginning. He thanks people, and he's really good about that. That's another thing I want to zag real quick, April. He's really good about thanking people. Yeah. And one of his shows, he devoted the whole show practically to shouting out people and thanking them and bringing their names on the screen and telling them what they were all about and stuff. Like Mary Fan, I'm pretty sure if she's here every day, that might be the Mary that he's speaking about,
Yeah, it
who
is.
came up with the waiting list for the beginning of the show and so on and so forth. And
Well,
then E gets mentioned every now and then for his Slack group and other people for what they're doing, like Dan Norton, who's doing the clips
Yeah.
and all of that.
And now we're shouting those people out doing this. And now if other people come and watch our show, they're going to maybe catch things they didn't before, and they could do a show of our show doing Pat's show. It's like the infinity screen when you screen share.
I love that. Yes. And one of the things so you just triggered me with one of my one-liners. So there's a lot of people that say content is king, and whatever the heck that means, for me, it's not true. And I would say it's not true for you either, because if you think that content trumps content provider, hashtag no, unless, of course, it's SEO or something like that. If you say content is king of SEO, then I'm not going to disagree with you. But if you just leave it out there and say content is king, I'm going to say no, and here's why. So Pat could just pour out content after content after content after content after content on a daily basis. And I would say that's not valuable to me, because I could care less. I couldn't care less about a person's content. So I say it like this: content is not king, the content provider is king. So once I started knowing who Pat Flynn was back in the day, 11, 12 years ago, I started realizing he's got great content about affiliate marketing. That was his thing at the time. It still is, but he's gone on to do a lot more. So I wasn't into affiliate marketing at the time, but it was good stuff. But not only that, but I liked Pat. I liked his persona. I liked his personality. I liked who he was. So I signed up for his email list and I kept in contact. And I would see various topics that would cross my screen and I would go, Pat Flynn, let me do a deeper dive. I like this topic. It's not nothing I'm doing at the time, but I know in the future I will need this. So let me put him on my radar content-wise, but more so content provider-wise. And so that's what I do with everybody. That's what I teach everybody. And that's what April is also doing, because she knows that Lisa Nichols has great content, just like other people have the same great content. But it's because of Lisa Nichols' personality and persona. And last night, I'm just going to zag again, because last night she started a new platform. Guess which one? This one. And she was so giddy about it. And I know she uses Zoom. She's an expert at Zoom, knows all the bells and whistles of Zoom. But yet she was so excited about using this to create that environment and culture for her people that she did a whole show about this new platform that she found. And April was a part of it. And she got to know April better. And April got to know her better. And yeah, now she may be doing a walkthrough with her social media manager of this new stuff to show her what's what. So opportunities abound when you don't just say content is king, but the content provider is king, and here's why. And I'm going to give you one last definition, is that I can't have a relationship with your content. Oh, okay. Maybe I can, but that would just be creepy, right? But here's what I know for sure. Your content cannot have a relationship with me. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for relationships. I'm the speed relationship guy. I want to build a relationship with you. I want to go deep. And I want to go as far as I can, and I want to know the people that you know, and I want you to know the people that I know, because that's net friending, not networking. Friendship first, businessship second. Because if we're friends, then you're going to share me with your friends and friends to be and acquaintances and colleagues way faster than if I just say, hey, you want to buy my content? Yes or no? So with that in mind, I know that the content provider can have a relationship with me and I with them, if it so warrants it, if we're a fit, right? Because if we do not fit, personality-wise, friendship-wise, then yeah, we shouldn't force ripe it, because we're not going to commit. So be around people who are going to be friendly towards you, just like Pat. I think that Pat and I could have like a long, slow dinner, as Keith Ferrazzi says, in order to get to know one another. 3-4 hours at Pat's house, at our house, at Steakhouse, I don't care. Because that's really what it's all about, and that's what we're about. So those are my final thoughts, even though we didn't put final thoughts up. But April, floor is yours.
Well, I did put up StreamYard, the powered by StreamYard logo in the corner, because Roy was talking about this platform that we're using, and it is an amazing platform that we talk about each and every time we go live because we love it so, so much. And you can sign up for your own account. It's free to do so. They have a free version, which is awesomely amazing. They give you so much for free. And you can go do that through netfriending.com/StreamYard. That will take you directly to their website where you can sign up. And we have this set up through our website because it's a referral link. It's not an affiliate link. It's for referrals. And if you sign up and then you upgrade to the paid version, you will, if you use our link, you will get $10 off your first month. And if you want to connect with me because you have any questions, if you want to reach out directly, you can contact me at the place you see below, m.me/April Roga. That will take you to a Facebook conversation, Facebook Messenger conversation with me. And if you want to connect with both Roy and myself, you can go to netfriending.com/calendar. And as we talked about earlier, that is set up to go to our Calendly link where you can select from the allotted dates and times where we are available. And we can give you a quick tour of this StreamYard platform and show you how you can use it for your live streaming and to do meet and greets with people, or to do like what we're doing tonight in unpacking, afterglowing from Pat's earlier Q&A, daily Q&A, which I had a thought earlier. I didn't share it. I'll share it now. I love that Pat is going live every day. Every day. He's not omitting the weekends, and a lot of people do. And the reason I'm glad he's doing it on weekends is because when you have that 2-day off period, most people tend to forget or they lose the momentum. I think having it on the weekend just keeps that energy and momentum going because people are really looking forward to this. So many people. I know this morning when I realized, it's Saturday. So I'm so used to people not going live on Saturday and Sunday that I forget. And so this morning when I realized, because Earn shares it in our Slack group, there's a thread in there called the Income Stream Live Show, not a thread, a channel. The Income Stream Live Show. And every morning, this morning it was at 10:26, so he did it 34 minutes before Pat's go live time. He drops the link in there, which I love, because even though I'm subscribed to Pat's YouTube channel and I get an email, I don't have my email alerts as a desktop notification on my screen, but I hear the beep sound in Slack, or I'm in and out of Slack all day, so I see that in there. It's just an added reminder.
Plus, he has a absolute link. In other words, it doesn't change. I forget exactly what it is. So I will find that and then also make a notation of that for the next show that we have, which is good, right? Because he changes that. It's just a redirect. Like it has your domain name / might be income stream. So, or the income stream. And then it's the same link each and every day, and people can bookmark it on their browser and just click that, and then boom, they'll be there because he redirects it for us every single day. That's awesome. And I also wanted to mention, April, that on the weekends is Saturday and Sunday are his most watched and viewed shows. And he gets 25% more views than he does on a weekday, that he does on 8 a.m. West Coast and 11 a.m. East Coast just before noon. So the wake up show and the just before lunch show, depending upon where you are in the country here. And then, of course, across the world, because he's got people from across the world. So I just wanted to mention that keeping this momentum going on the weekends is an awesome thing. He gets even more views.
Yes. So yeah, I see that link in the morning, and that I was trying to remember what I was thinking about when you inserted. So when it was Saturday morning and I saw that Ern posted the link in the Slack group, what are you drinking?
Sorry, I didn't know my mic was open. That would be grape knee-high. That's Radar O'Reilly's of Mash's favorite drink also. Just a little bit of trivia. I'll close my mic now.
We got to keep it fun, funny, and fruitful around here.
And I'll jump down, and you can just close it. That way I won't
Okay.
interrupt you.
Good-
Not that I
good night.
interrupt you, but so I won't jump back. Good night, everyone. Good.
He's still talking. That's okay. So I could have just said, Roy, can you go on mute? But that wouldn't have been funny. I got to say, so what are you drinking? Because those are some little extra things and tips that you could do when you have one of those weird, awkward moments that, you know, for the people who think they have to show up polished, you can turn those moments that are not polished into a fun, funny, and fruitful moment like I just did. So that was just a quick zag. I was saying, when I realized it was Saturday morning and that Pat was doing his Q&A today, my first thought was, oh my goodness, it's Saturday. I'm not working. I get to watch Pat without feeling guilty about listening to Pat while I'm doing my work in the background. But then I realized that I had to go get in the shower and get out of the house to run an errand because the place I needed to go to closes at 1:00 p.m. Eastern time. I still hadn't showered, got the boy ready. Speaking of the boy, he's probably still awake upstairs, iPadding. Crap. I need to go make sure he's not still awake because it's 11:29 Eastern time right now, PM. But anyway, yeah, so I look forward to the weekends, the mornings now, because there's really very few people who live stream on the weekend at all, let alone in the early morning hours. I wish it was actually a little bit earlier, but Pat's on the West Coast, so asking him to go live before 8 a.m. Eastern on a Saturday just for little old me would just be cray-cray. So Pat, if you ever get to hear this, because this is going to be a soundbite, I would never ask you to go live before 8 a.m. Eastern time. So I see we have 2 viewers right now. I know one of them is not me and one of them could be Roy. So whoever you are, hello. And we are going to post some sound bites from tonight's 2-hour, 22-minute and some odd second show in the Slack group for those who are on the quarantine team hashtag Slack channel to just share with you some of the highlights that we covered here tonight, because we had some really great topics that we covered. We really unpacked a lot of stuff from today's Pat Flynn show, and I'm loving this because we are honing our craft through what we're learning, not just from what Pat is saying, but from what Pat is role modeling for us in how he shows up every day. And this is such good stuff. It's just unfair to keep it to ourselves. So we're going to take some sound bites using a great tool that we have called Streamable, streamable.com. I suppose I could put that. You'll hear me typing, but it is what it is. Streamable.com. You can go there. It's a free tool, but they do have a fee version as well. But the free version is enough. You can do up to 10-minute sound bites, and you can even customize the thumbnail. And we're going to drop the whole full version of this replay into the Slack channel. So you can listen to the sound bites, see if it resonates with you. And then if you want to go for the deeper dive and and listen to it in its entirety. You can even skip around and see what you like. We would love the feedback. You know, feedback is everything. You don't have to be an influencer, although we are all in our day-to-day lives influencing somebody that we know. But I mean, you don't have to be a well-known influencer like Pat, like others like Pat, to be able to give somebody feedback and assess them. So please, we welcome that. We want to hear the good, and we want to hear the what you feel may not be so good for you, because what's good for one may not be good for another. We get that. So with that, apparently my son has just been brought downstairs with his iPad, fully awake at 11:33 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm going to go tend to him and get him in bed. And we will be back here tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're doing this every night. And somebody actually said in the Slack group, hey, that show you're doing, the after show, Afterglow show, that might be better served for you to do that right after Pat's stream ends. So that way, when you have the energy already going, you have it, you know, people are already energized from listening to Pat and they're all involved, and there's the big momentum, that you just kind of invite them over to what you're doing as the after show. And I love that. We want that if we can find people to co-host, because for me, during the week, I am unable to do that with Roy because I still have my Bring April Home is the hashtag that I use. That's the plan, to do this full time, this being meeting and greeting with people, doing our live shows 24/7, having a rotating group of people that we can call upon to fill a 1 hour time slot, a 30-minute time slot, whatever is clever. We want people to come along on this journey with us. What I find to be the case is that oftentimes, initially, people are excited about what we're talking about, but then it's like, I think what happens is when they don't see an immediate result, just like with weight loss, right? I always compare weight loss to anything because that's something so many people can relate to. You have the before and the after picture. With weight loss, a lot of times people fall off the wagon. They say, oh, and I can relate to this right now because I'm using air quotes, dieting. But it's really a lifestyle change. So a lot of times when people don't see those initial results quickly enough as they feel they should be having that in their mind, they back off from it and they just change what they're doing. They go back to their old ways. It's the same thing with this. If you don't keep on keeping on and be consistent and show up every day, then you're never going to achieve that momentum to bring the people to hone your craft, to hone your skills. So I really need to go because now there's like noise up in here. So I'm going to go. We'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we will put this in the Slack channel. Would love your feedback, and toodles, and bye for now. Have a great rest of your evening, of which there's not much left unless you're on the West Coast. Good night, y'all.